Hello and welcome to Team Franco Bodybuilding Podcast, episode number 11. So, this one is going to be almost a continuation of the Exit Plan podcast because if you listen to that, I bet one of the questions that you would have for me or asking yourself, well, Joe, how much should I weigh in the off season? How much weight should I gain? This is another great topic, and it's near and dear to my heart. So, the first thing is obviously you don't want to gain too much weight back. If you get back to maintenance, and if your maintenance was at a healthy or happy weight after you compete, that is great. If you exceeded your maintenance, well, then most likely you didn't have the best exit plan, and that needs to be addressed. So what I'm trying to get at and what I want to talk about in greater detail is there are two problems that I see with those who compete. Is that one, they think they need to either gain a lot of weight to make progress, or they fall in love with staying lean year round, and that too will prohibit their progress. So let's address the first one. And I don't see it as much, but I get a lot of young inquiries asking me, well, are we going to bulk first? How much weight am I going to gain? Am I going to be bulking? I'm going to put this one to rest. Bulking is bullshit. Now, why would you purposely gain unnecessary body weight in hoping to gain some muscle, and then you just have to turn around to lose it again? If you're a natural competitor, the goal is to maintain as much muscle and lose body fat. But guess what? You're going to lose muscle during that time. Unless you are doing a slower prep, which I talked about before, you're going to maintain more muscle and possibly gain a little bit. But then at the end, it's about maintaining and not losing as much. But the old school thought of bulking and gaining unnecessary weight is just a joke to me. It's harder on the body. It puts more work that you're going to have to do to eventually lose weight. So bulking's out of the question. I hate that. I hate it. Yes, there is a method that I use with new clients if I feel like they are under eating. I call it learning your caloric ceiling. Learning your caloric ceiling is bringing up the calories at a strategic pace to see if they have been under eating, but it is not bulking. If they gain a few pounds, that's fine, because I know it's going to be more beneficial with them being at a higher caloric intake and easier to lose the body fat when the time is right. That is not bulking. Bulking is just shoving shit in your face and gaining strength, but it's not. It is relative, but it's not relative, because you're gaining body weight. You're getting bigger mass, so you're lifting more weight, but doesn't necessarily correlate to strictly muscle. So bulking drives me nuts. Did you get that yet? Bulking drives me nuts. So purposely gaining weight and hoping to gain more muscle, to me, if you're a physique athlete, is not worth it. Learning your caloric ceiling to bring in more calories, to perform better, is beneficial, because it can actually help stimulate your metabolism and then give you a higher caloric intake, higher amount that you're taking in to make it easier. So that's problem number one. That drives me crazy. Problem number two that I see, again, people staying too lean. They fall in love with the look, and if that's what they want to do, that is awesome. That is great. Take all the Instagram photos you want, get all the likes of your abs year round. If that's what you want, I have no issues with it. But if you want to compete, if you want to get better, well, guess what? If you're restricting your calories all year round, you're not doing yourself any favors for gaining muscle. But then you're saying, well, Joe, you're telling me you don't want to bulk. No, there's an in-between. There really is an in-between when it comes to gaining weight responsibly, allowing your body to grow responsibly, so therefore you can make progress in the gym, get stronger. transferring over to building new muscle so the next time that you compete, you're going to see a physical change. I've seen it firsthand. I have seen people compete in my show in the springtime and then compete in the fall. So they took a few months off, but they look the same. And then they'll come around again the next year. They're competing too often because they're staying lean too often. And they're asking, well, what can I do to improve? Well, your physique is the same. I mean, you look good, but guess what? You're not making that change and taking that time off from dieting because you want those Instagram likes. So the weight that you want to be at is what I call a happy weight. It's where you still look good, you're still performing in the gym, you're not depriving yourself, and you feel confident about yourself. So after you compete, you're saying, well, what is my happy weight? Where should I be? I do suggest a percentage, but it's a wide range because there's all different body types. If you're a naturally leaner person, I would say you at least want to be 5% of your low weight. If you are a more endomorphic person that naturally carries body fat and that's where you're happy and you physically feel good with your hormones, I would say up to 12% max of what you competed. So it's a range, 5 to 12%, but you want to be heavier than your contest weight. Although there is one caveat when it comes to this suggested range of body weight over your last contest prep. And you can tell my voice is a little bit different because after listening, I thought it was important to address. So, to the point, for those who are competing for the first time, and you may say, well, I can only gain 12%. That's not necessarily true because if you are somewhat of a newbie to weight training, when you do come off your diet and months of training afterwards, you're going to be gaining more muscle. So that number of 12% being a high can certainly be thrown off as you can be closer to 15%, 16%, whatever. So that's why it's more also a visual on how you feel and look and feel the confidence about yourself. So that high of 12% that I gave is typically based on those who are a little bit more experienced, maybe had a couple of preps and understand that muscle gain is slowing down. But if you have only a year or two of weight training behind you and now we're doing a proper weight training plan, your body weight is going to go up if, all the stars align correctly. So I just wanted to add that caveat in there. And it really is your choice. The information that I lay out on these podcasts are my opinion and experiences throughout the years of helping others. So believe me, what I'm telling you is, again, my personal thoughts, what I think will benefit most of you out there. It's just that the extreme, again, is what I find it holding people back the most. Extreme of bulking, extreme of staying too lean, and then you're not reaching your optimal, physique levels or feeling good about yourself. It's not easy, just like I was talking about in the exit plan. None of this is easy. It does take planning, it does take mental fortitude, it does take drive, it does take patience. I stressed upon evolution in the last one a lot. If you have to work towards keeping your body within a happy weight range, then you have to work towards it. But after building those habits, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. You're not going to be yo-yoing. After you bulk real heavy and then you learn, well, maybe I shouldn't be 200 pounds, because I competed at 165. Well, maybe I should be between 180 and 185. That's just an example. Or vice versa. Maybe I shouldn't be afraid to eat a little bit more if it's going to help me progress because I do want to reach a higher level of competition. So this is a shorter podcast, something I am also passionate about because it's a question that I get often. And it just gives you an idea, an idea what will work best for you as far as finding your caloric ceiling and not falling into the trap of being on either end of the spectrum as far as bulking and or staying too lean year round. Hoping this podcast has been helpful, guys. Please feel free to share it if you did. Again, questions, email me at fitfranco@verizon.net. I can be reached at that email, or information, or want to learn more about my coaching or anything, teamfrancobodybuilding.com. And I will talk to you next time.